with all things RC down here in swampy, humid, muggy Florida on this beautiful, dingy, gray Sunday afternoon. My wife's in the house cooking an eggplant parmesan dinner that's supposed to aid in, well, it's supposed to induce pregnancy apparently within 48 hours. So we're going to see how that goes. So we could be having our baby girl anytime here in the next day or so, or hours, I don't know, but we're looking forward to that. I found some time to get out here in the garage. I have so many projects going on and so many things that I've dug into lately. I really don't know what's wrong with me. I can't seem to just stay focused on one thing, but it's tough having a few fifth scale rigs that are all kind of in the construction phase. So, and of course the race truck, I'm just trying to get ready so that in October when the track opens up again, I'm ready to go. And I think I'm almost there. But I just wanted to do a quick video and give you guys some updates. The Rovan 305 FT, of course, it's been basically converted to a short course truck. It is a pot again. I know you guys may have seen the last video when I was doing the break-ins for the SEZ engine, which is an absolute monster from what I can see. Just over quarter throttle, I was starting to feel a bit of a power band where it would start to just scream and want to open up. But I was letting off because I was trying to break it in properly, you know. But if you watch the video, I was able to get the front wheels off the ground. I mean, and I wasn't trying. So I'm really dying to see what this motor is gonna be all about when the time comes. But unfortunately, I had an issue with the receiver wire because a while back the antenna post broke from the receiver box, and I tried to glue it in there. Well, needless to say, I was trying to dig the glue out so that I could do it properly, and put a new antenna post in properly. I nicked the receiver wire a few times, and when I was out in the field with this trying to get it going, not trying to get it going, but just breaking it in, it started to have some signal issues. So I'm like, screw this, I'm not taking any chances on this thing running away from me. I decided to shut it off, take it home. I could have just bought a new receiver that matches the one for the radio link remote that came with the truck, but of course I couldn't do just spend 18 bucks and throw it in there. No, I had to buy a whole new receiver. I ended up transmitter and receiver. I ended up going with the FlySky IT4S. I'm going to do a video series on that because it comes with all the telemetry, speed, RPM, volts, temperature, everything. So that's going to be real handy, especially with this engine. Looking forward to that. And of course, now that it has all that telemetry, it's going to take a while to get it all wired up. And it came with a disk with a PDF file on it, so it's pretty intense as far as the instructions are concerned. I'll see if I can find some other videos out there, of course, from other guys that have done the full telemetry install from that receiver. See if I can get some help there. But yeah, so she's down once again, and the receiver box is out. I'm going to go ahead and install the Killer RC tall lid for the receiver box because there's no way I'm going to fit, I couldn't even fit the stuff I had in there, which is one of the other problems I was having. The box was just too packed. So I'm going to go ahead and do that as well, and she should be done. I should be done with this. I, of course, have the cage sitting over there and the body sitting right there. I do have a set of clear panels for that cage that I will paint up eventually. They're in that Kohl's box, just waiting to be painted. I got to come up with a paint scheme for it. You'll notice the G5 cage there and the X2 cage. I went ahead, and I know I promised not to spend any money, but it was only 15 bucks. I bought the full force windshield, and I bought the full force rear mud guards, which this one has to be cut, or the other side actually has to be cut. By the way, if you guys do end up going with that and you have this particular pipe, you're gonna run into a problem. The pipe's gonna hit it, so you do have to cut. I haven't done it yet, but I'll go ahead and mock it up and cut it out so that it fits and I can still use those mud guards. But just be mindful of that. Your pipe might be an issue with those fender wells. I got the cage off the Kraken finally, or the Kraken, the Ghost Racing G5. See, I'm calling it a Kraken Vector. I shouldn't do that. That's terrible. I got the cage off it for the first time, and I'm not impressed with the way it comes on and off. I mean, it's on there pretty sturdy, but the way it comes off is it has two body pins here, and then it bolts underneath here on this side and on this side, and then it also bolts back here. So it's not as easy to take off, like for example the Chase cage, or the Chase clone cage, by the way, or the X2 cage. It's just not as easy to get off. It's definitely not something, you need an Allen head, and you need tools, period. So, but taking it off gave me a better perspective for this truck. It really is a good looking rig, and I was contemplating getting rid of it so that I could go ahead and fund the purchase of the Losi 5B. But I just can't bring myself to do it. I really want to see this rig go. It's a heavy rig, so I'm going to go ahead and do, well, I'll tell you about that in a minute. But this, from when I got it, it was broken. And apparently this is a weak point. I'm assuming that happened in the box, but it was broken. It's a weak point. Kraken has already acknowledged it with upgrades, and you can get those through DDM. And there's a few companies out there like Vertigo, for example. I'm definitely a fan of their pots that are making an upgrade for it. And it's pricey, but apparently it needs to be done. So that's something I'll just upgrade, as opposed to asking them again to send me the piece that I need, because I already asked them and they didn't send it to me. So yeah, we got that. I'm just now getting started on what I think is going to be the most mental paint job I've ever done. But I took a look at all the panels, and I just did a test fit, to see if the little dimples that they gave you were accurate. And guys, it turns out every single dimple that they put, they put a little tiny dimple to make it easier to mount them, to drill the holes and then mount them. Every dimple was off. It's like either the dude needs a new pair of glasses, or they just weren't paying attention and they were letting these things move all over the place when they were, when they were making it. See the dimple there? So yeah, and of course all the protective filming is starting to fall off. It is what it is. I bought some masking tape, of course. I'm going to go ahead and mask off the edges, liquid mask it, and like I said, I'll just give you a little bit of a hint as to what's happening with the paint. The X2, all is well. I did have to, in my opinion, upgrade the brake system. Every one of the guys that I've seen that runs these, the Losi version that races, they've spent 100 or more on the Axis brake setup, or the I can't think of the other names, the MIP brake setup. There's just the brake setup that this particular version is set up with is or comes with, has a grub screw that strips out literally the first time you try to use it, and there's no spring setup, there's no bolt setup holding the actual, or a nut setup holding the bolt in. The bolt bolt ends up backing out, especially on this side where it ends up bouncing up against the clutch housing there, because of the flex in the rig itself. But it ends up backing out, cocks the disc, and the pad. It's just terrible. So for $49, the TLR sells a kit that actually has brake pads, not just pieces of metal, a really nice looking disc, the nut and bolt setup, and springs. It's exactly what I needed. And again, I didn't want to spend the money, but I figured I had to do it, and just to make sure, because the last time I was out there, I had no brakes. It was terrible. So I'm not letting that happen again. I bought these X-Max RC Studio shock socks, or shock covers, in replacement of the shock tubes, the real tight ones that fit on there. Those things just started wearing away, and to be honest, when I pulled them off, all they did was dump a bunch of sand out of them, so they didn't work too well. But who knows? These, they're so big, which I kind of wish I spent the money and bought the outerwear version now, because I see guys' rigs with those and they seem to fit better. It just looks like a perfect tube on there. The X-Max did a bad job. These aren't long enough. I mean, they're too long. You got all this crumpled up. It just, look at that. That shouldn't fit like that. They're way too long. You'll notice I have a shock off. One of the bladders from the factory, in my opinion, had an issue, because when I pulled it apart to refill the shock, I noticed it was leaking when I pulled it out of the box. The bladder wouldn't sit on the top of the shock right, so I'm not putting it back together like that. Apparently you can't buy the Losi kit shock rebuild kit with bladders anymore. So I'm gonna have to either buy the FID kit or just order them directly from China, because China sells like a 10-pack of them, and you know, just go ahead and use theirs. I was just hoping to get a Losi brand. So that's all I really got going on. I just got to put that shock back together, the brake system's in, the engine's back in. I put the new Hurricane RC quick pull start cover. Just pull these pins. You can pull your pull start right off. I know it looks close to the pipe, guys, but it really isn't. So that I can pull that off. I had an issue in the field with that Easy Start setup that I have on this truck. This is the Easy Start pull start kit that I had processed my flywheel to work with, and it has two little levers inside that do this, and they got stuck. Sand got stuck in them from the track, and it was just, I had no pull at all. So if that happens again, now I can just pop it off, clean the sand out, and I'm good to go. But yeah, all is good. Using the grease on the inside of this, before you put your filter cover on, I went ahead and greased the inside of this, you know, this particular portion of the air filter setup, and the inside where the filter presses up against it, because this doesn't squeeze or sandwich the filter enough, so it causes air to get in there. First time I ran it, when I pulled it off, man, my carb was just junked. I mean, it was caked with sand and dirt from the track, and I was bummed out. I'm like, dude, I'm going to end up burning out this engine way too quick. So I went ahead and, it's high temp disc brake bearing grease, but I just put a little on my finger and I ran it around the edge, and then sandwiched the air filter setup back together the last time I added it to the track, and what a difference. When I pulled this off, the carb was clean. I mean, spotless in there. The whole butterfly setup was clean. So I'm really thinking that worked, and I'm going to continue to do that. It's something I saw on Team Fast Eddie. I'm not sure what he was using for grease. I forget, but so again, look at these shock socks, guys. They're just way too long. You know, they needed to be about an inch shorter. So yeah, and I got the cage pieces that I broke, the Losi cage pieces. They, you know, you just put it all back together. So yeah, that's about it for as far as that truck is concerned. I got the X2 panels, I'm sorry, the G5 panels getting ready for paint. I just have to scuff them and lay down the liquid mask, and then start drawing out my design on the panels with like a dry erase is what I used with the 10 scale trucks that I painted, and as well with the SC body. So that worked out good. I know I probably mentioned this before, but I do have the panels, the 30 degree north panels for the X2 for the race season. I was impressed with another guy's truck out there. He had the panels on his, and what a beating, dude. They're like, it can take, you know, they're like a Rubbermaid trash can, kind of. It's just, there's no way you're hurting that thing. So I am going to get a wrap kit for it. If you guys are interested in these, Detroit Performance RC, they've got them available for like $130, and it comes with all the hardware. The one thing that I was disappointed in is this. It says they're red, and in the picture it does look like they're red, but they're really not. They're like a purple kind of mauve color, almost pink to be honest. But it does actually match the pots on the X2. Those of you guys that have a Kingmotor X2 know that the red pots, the anodizing, almost looks pink. But I'm not going to leave it like this. I'm going to wrap it. I'm just trying to decide on which wrap to go with and which company to go with. It seems like all the good companies are out of the UK, so, which I'm not opposed to buying something from there. I just really don't want to have to go through the wait, you know, in terms of shipping and things like that. So we'll see. There's a guy here locally that does the wraps for Detroit Performance, actually. He's got a pretty good lineup in terms of work that he's done. I forget the name of the company. Immersion, I think. So I may go with him, may try to come up with something custom and see if he can do that for me. So yeah, enough of that. Well, on the 10 scales, I'm involved with the Revo group on Facebook, and they're doing a giveaway right now, $5 a spot for a full 3.3, never been used, you know, TRX motor. Has a pipe coming with the wand. It comes with the wand and the wiring for $5. So I'm hoping I can win a new motor for this, because that's all that's stopping me from driving this truck. And has been. When I finished the paint and finished the build, I blew the motor in it. Partly my fault, but I blew the motor in it, and it wasn't a new motor to begin with, but I blew it. I put a 2.5 that I had in a box from a pawn shop in it, and it barely moves. It's just disappointing to drive it. So it needs a new motor. The T-Max has issues with the 3.3 that's in it. The carburetor is leaking, so that's just a nightmare that I have to deal with also. Yeah, so the FlySky Remote, if you guys have not come across this yet, you definitely should check it out. If you're someone that's on a budget like me, you know, 3 kids, 1 on the way, this is something that you might find interesting. This thing is an absolute beauty. It came with everything that you need to set it up, and it also has a I'll just show you real quick. It's going to be a little difficult to take this box off with one hand, so I may have to set you down, but we'll see if I can get it off. Yeah, hold on. Sorry about that, guys. I'm not going to edit this video, so yeah, it comes with all the telemetry, you know. You've got speed, RPM, you've got USB, which is how you charge it. It comes with a LiPo battery, you know, right in the receiver. I'm sorry, the transmitter. So that's pretty cool. You got all the telemetry you need, and aluminum framed or aluminum bezel for the touchscreen. This is adjustable, so you know, kind of ergonomic, you know, I guess. It's just really nice. Got a good weight to it. This is what I'm going to use for the you know, for the Rovan. I just have to wire it all up now. Came with a disc that has a PDF file format on it. It's a 4-channel setup. There you go there. Came with a new an additional rubber grip. So I'm stoked on that, and I'll do some video on it when I you know, when I start to install it as I go. Keep in mind I'm still learning, so we'll see how that goes. But other than that, that's about all things RC that are happening in my neck of the woods. I'm just excited to be nearing the end on the race truck on the X2. Just now starting to crack open the G5, and of course, as far as the electronics are concerned, I'm pretty much ready to start ripping the Rovan too. So stay tuned, guys. This is what I got going on the bench. This is the charger I was telling you about. I mean, if you haven't, I'm sure you guys have a much better charger than that, but this thing actually works, you know, and I'm impressed with it. So thanks for watching once again.